it's just drinking. I mean, it doesn't hate me.
Yeah, addiction is very often family disease.
But internal issues that happening inside of the house, that is being overlooked a lot.
It's very difficult to help someone who doesn't want to help.
This perfect family, this perfect picture out there, but then you go dive deep inside and there is abuse of some sort of kind, substances, domestic, whatever it is.
If you live in with a person who is affected by addiction, go get help for yourself first.
Hi, my beautiful people. I am your skin therapist, Kate, and this is my podcast, Get Under My Skin. Today, I'm once again with phenomenal mental specialist, Inna Popko, and we're discussing different topics of substance abuse. Welcome, Inna.
Thank you.
And here we are again.
Yes.
Continuing. Such an important topic. And as the last time I've mentioned, that's something I want to dive deep a little deeper, or like dig a little deeper, get under my own skin.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's get into it. As I remember, we kind of touched base on substance abuse in relationship and how it affects the family, and how it's harder to sometimes even see it or recognize it until you like really deepen in. It's been months, years, kids, marriage, and etc. And then one day you wake up and you're like realizing what's happening around me. Maybe it's not one day, it was like they planted the seed a long time ago, but you were ignoring this for a while. I'm right now speaking about myself. But I think it's many people like me. That's not something you talk about it. That's not something you always want to address, because that means not only bigger changes you need to make in your life, but also a huge questions and problems you need to address, not only with yourself, but also with your partner, maybe your marriage, maybe your family relationship, etc. So I think it's just an important subject to talk more, to recognize where you at, what answers to find when you find yourself in it, and possibly the ways out of it.
Well, that's a tough one.
It is a tough
Family. Actually, addiction is very often family disease, and unfortunately, there is a misunderstanding when we are very judgmental towards a person who has addiction, who's struggling with substance abuse, but not many people know that it's actually all family involved, and all family suffers in a different ways. Like everyone in the family affected in a different ways. Every member of the family is coping with presence of addiction or substance abuse in the family, and it's consciously or unconsciously. In the beginning, it's all unconsciously. And if there's a family present, if there's a relationships present, there's always so there's a family dynamics. It's actually a term for addiction family dynamics. And we do have the person who suffers from substance abuse. Then we have a partner. Then we might have kids, right? And if there are kids, there's a very great movie to watch, very educational, what's happening in the family. A very old movie, but it covers everything. So the family where father is struggling from alcohol addiction, there is a wife and three kids.
Mhm.
So they all unaware of the problem, but the problem it's there. It's like when you watch the movie, you aware of the problem, but the
When
members
it
of the
sarcastic.
family,
Yeah.
they are not aware. So the father comes home completely drunk in the morning, in a good mood, but it's changing. So everyone is trying to fit in according to his mood. That's not okay already. Like if you cannot be yourself inside of your house, like at home, if you feel like you have to kind of walk in the eggshells in order to, like, not to upset someone, like you're a drunk father
Right.
who's gonna get angry, aggressive, and enraged if you get on his nerves.
Right.
So his wife, she is covering up for him when he is late for work because of hangover. So she calls and saying he's not feeling well, he's sick, he's gonna be late.
Mm.
And then she comes to him and saying, "Oh, you are my poor husband. You are so tired. I missed you." Yeah, like it seems like very nice family. It is nice family. There are nice people. Um, so she covers for him in the dysfunctional family dynamics. She's identifies as an enabler, so she
Mhm,
enables
mhm,
his
mhm,
behavior, she covers up for
mhm.
him. And it's so painful for her to to tell herself that there is a problem. So later in the
And
movie,
I'm involved in this problem, and I'm also enabling this. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So they will have problems with kids later in the movie. The
Mhm,
kids start the oldest child, he starts acting out
mhm,
at school, not performing. Like kids, they
mhm.
always showing problems through the behavior. It's
Right,
either anger, poor grades, or depression or
right.
anything else. And then DCFS got involved eventually because it was like violence already in the family. He slapped the kid, he was drunk father. And when the counselor was talking to the wife and explaining her that the husband has an addiction problem, she was very offended and sad. She said, "What do you mean? He's a good person." And it doesn't mean that
They're a
like
bad
they're a
person
bad
doesn't mean
person.
they're bad.
Yeah.
That's a huge misconception.
Hmm.
You know, oh, they so always treats people nicely. It's he's I've never think about it. They can do something like that. They're always so nice. They always help. Other people. Maybe they are like volunteering and they're the greatest in society. I'm not
Keep the
taking this
job.
away. Keeping the job. Performing so well and like or such an amazing father or such a amazing in this and that doesn't take this away from people. It doesn't, but internal issues that happening inside of the house that
Hmm.
is being overlooked a lot.
Hmm.
And what's the name of the movie, by the way?
Shutter Spirits.
Shutter
Shutter
Spear.
Spirits. It's 1964 or something. Very old movie.
And I'm
But I use it in my psychoeducational groups with the substance use disorder people. It just
interesting.
covers all of the
All of that.
dynamic in the family.
And it's such a sounds like I haven't watched it, which I will for sure, but
Hmm.
sounds like pretty much a blueprint that many of us faced it. And it's a blueprint that shows exactly how it works. Because
Hmm.
there's always, as you said, there's one or two, I'm not gonna take this away, but the abuser of the substances,
Hmm.
um, the person who is by it and enabling. And it could be the wife, but it could be a parent, it
It's,
could be a
yeah,
friend.
yeah,
There could be so many different things in
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And interesting that you said that because um, This is just what I do. I always refer to my personal experiences, but it's just easier. But let's say that's what I was facing it myself. And this is actually something recently happened in my life when I was facing a lot of blame for past 2 years about my ex relationship and a person who was an addict for many, many years. And he was actually an addict since the teenager age. And his relatives pretty much on the social media putting it up front that why didn't you tell me that he was heavily drinking? I could have saved him. Why didn't you tell me this and that? And then my point, I'm like, well, I probably should be asking you questions because he was an addict since he was like 13. Why are you asking me?
Mhm.
Why are you asking me this? And that's exactly what I'm referring to enabling or ignoring. Not
Mhm.
knowing and ignoring, very completely different things.
Mhm.
And I stand by it because a lot of times we see it, it's around us, but we just don't do anything about it and think, time is going to pass and something is going to change. Maybe they're going to grow out of it. Maybe they're going to get married and, now I don't see it, so maybe it doesn't exist anymore there. But let's talk more about this dynamics that happens. Um,
Well, to help, that's like, why didn't you tell me I would help? Well, it's very difficult to help someone who doesn't want to help. Uh, the first step to everything, to any treatment, to any healing path, I would say, I would call it healing more than treatment. It's awareness, acknowledgement of the problem. And unfortunately, with substance use, abuse, there's a lot of lies, a lot of hidden things. Like the person who is abusing the substances, he or she doesn't lives in denial for himself or herself for many years. It's not that easy, to wake up and say, I have a problem and that's my problem. And also, let's not forget about the shame, the stigma.
oh,
It
100%.
is, nobody wants to be like, the person needs help. You don't want to be picked on. You don't want to be bullied. You don't want, like,
But what
uh,
the people that around that see it, do you feel like it's easier to ignore it than
it
actually
is,
facing
for
it?
our brain, it's always, it's a defense mechanism to ignore things that hurtful for you.
Right.
Like brain does not want to see what's painful. I mean, it's want to defend you. It's want to protect you from the pain. That's why ignorance comes in that place.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also cultural beliefs and certain, like, family customs, everything, and blaming someone else, it's always easier than take responsibility. Blaming somebody else, it means that I'm not taking responsibility. And helping,
Highlight that.
yeah.
It's very true. It's very true.
There is no need to blame anyone, not yourself, not anyone else. The actions need to be done. And if the person in denial,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot help the person. You know that here in America, in order to check into rehabilitation center for detox, substance abuse treatment, you need to check in voluntarily. No matter how many relatives will call me and say, Get him in. He needs help.
They
I
can't do
cannot
anything.
do
Do
this.
anything. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
person needs to come and say, I need help, please.
Help
Can I
me.
be admitted?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's it. That's it, only voluntarily.
And that's exactly comes down to can't be helped if you don't want to be helped.
No, how
No,
can I help you?
you can't.
You're just
You can't.
gonna, I'm just gonna destroy myself.
But even some people that, being maybe like forced to do it, well, it's the right thing for me to do, but they internally, they're not there. I've
Oh
seen so
no.
many people, they're like, oh, well, I'm going getting therapy, like to save the marriage, to save the relationship, or maybe something is wrong, but they're not actually taking actions being there. They're just like present there, but
You
doesn't
know,
really change anything when
I
they're
don't
in it.
think it's anyone can be forced to anything in the United States except if there is a danger for your life or somebody else's life.
No, I'm not saying like forcing, like physically forcing. It's more let's say if you're not going to go therapy and do something, we will fire you, or maybe like I'll divorce you.
Oh,
And
the
then people
mandated.
exactly. So and then people go, right? Well, technically going, but they're
Yeah,
not actually mentally present. So
of
they're
course.
there taking an action, but they're not actually wanting to get help and not changing anything. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, good that you mentioned because that's one of my specialization. I've worked with court mandated
Mhm.
people, and that's exactly a case. Seems
Mhm.
like a
Mhm.
case.
Mhm.
Yes, people are less involved in it because they feel like they are forced,
Mhm.
even though nobody forced you. Even in the court,
Right.
if you plead guilty, it's voluntarily, and then you just suggested to
Mhm.
go
Mhm.
if you want, like if
Right,
you
right,
said that, if you truthful, right?
right.
uh but still I see some benefits in it, in the correction system here in the United States, even though a person might not be fully present in the psychoeducational classes or about substance abuse or anything, domestic anger
Mhm.
management, or maybe he or she thinks that, oh, I'll just go there and sit there and forget it, give me the paper.
Right.
But still the person will get some information, and again, like, I will not give you the paper if I see you not in, like, you not getting anything from the classes.
Mhm.
I will not give you the paper. You'll stay here until you'll get in it, because, and at least some information will get to this person's, like, brain.
Mhm.
But also, let's not forget that we have a stages of change. Change is not that easy, and you have to be ready. Everyone is in the different stage of change. Like denial, it's a stage of change. It's a first stage.
Right.
Like you at the denial, then when the problems accumulate, you start thinking, well, something is probably wrong. I'm drinking or using, and then now I have no job, then I have no money. Maybe I need to look into some educational, maybe
Mhm.
read a book or listen to a podcast,
Right,
right?
right, right, right.
So it depends where you at the stages of the change, and it's a long process. It's not easy. Yes, if you're not invested in the therapy probably will not work, or it will work very slowly, and it's gonna be tertiary. Like, I don't want a client who doesn't want to be my client. I will not work with this client. I will say, well, I'm not gonna force you.
Right. Yeah.
Like, everyone have a right to stay sick if he or she wants to. Let's not forget that substance abuse is it's also coping mechanism. It's your body is trying to help you with something, and it's just not effective. It's just destroying you. It's just killing you slowly. It's
100%.
it's very complicated, and the family dynamics.
It's very complicated. And, I want to highlight that part that you said about the movie, and that feeling of a wife, which I'm sure a lot of people can refer to. There is like two sides. One side is a person in relationship might avoiding those problems because they don't want to change, they don't want to be alone, they don't see any other option. So it's easier to allow it.
Or she thinks she's helping.
She's helping, she's
It's
his helping,
yeah.
and I'm there to support.
Yeah.
And I'm such a good wife or husband to be there for them.
And
And
don't take out the trash out of the house.
that's
That's my husband. That's my wife. We all together in it. Why will they go?
Don't talk to other people about it. Why are you discussing those things? That's actually a very common one. And that's what makes people feel isolated inside. Nobody knows about their problems. Nobody even thinks that there's a problems. Again, that's something we already talked about, this perfect family, this perfect picture out there. But then you go dive deep inside and there is abuse of some sort of kind, substances, domestic, whatever it is. But it's always this beautiful picture and outside. But there's also what I personally have gone through is also being influenced on using substances. Let's say, yes, I was young, and this is just the past. But there's days when you're like, I don't feel like drinking or anything, but your partner comes home, like, well, what are you talking about? Let's just have a shot. Let's have I'll pour you a glass of wine. No, I don't feel like it's okay. Just relax, and the one skill that I've learned, and thanks to my parents, I think it's just being very self-aware where I'm at, and kind of sit down, step back, and I'll analyze why I feel a certain way. And I remember myself getting at the times when I feel like it is getting towards the addiction because I don't feel good. I feel like in need of it. And my partner's pretty much like forcing me. Otherwise, we have such a good time together when we do it. Like, why? And like catching myself on the thought, we have a good time when we're drinking.
Because
and
if
we don't,
only time
yes, that's the only time. Yeah. And then you feel so drawn and so depressed. Like if it doesn't happen, then it's always a fight, it's always an anger, it's always miscommunication. And then eventually you give in once, you give in twice, you give in the 3 times, and only good time you have is when both of you are influenced, pretty much.
It's a very good, actually, that you mentioned that. There's another movie there, a movie. So movies are taken from life. So a lot of instances, that's how one partner drags you into the addiction together. When you start using together, you live together, you're doing everything together. You miss him or her because when he or her is drunk or under some other substance, he's not here. That's a different person. And you miss this person, this good person you fall in love with. Like he or she is never there. And the only way of kind of connect or reconnect, it's just start doing what he's or she's doing. And that's when it's dangerous. Because then nobody is present. than two people in need of help. And then you never know what's going to happen next. If he's going to stay with you when you become addict, if he's going to do what you're doing for him, how you behaving or not.
Right.
Is he going to try to save you? Because what enablers usually doing, they're trying to save the person. They're trying to help. They trying to save their relationships. They're trying to save a family, kids, everything. Like, it's very difficult just to walk away. You're gonna get a lot of blame and shame for that too.
Oh my
You
God.
left that person who is in
100%.
need of, like, how can you turn your back on him or her? Like, you're gonna be criticized, I guess, one way or another.
You're gonna criticize either way.
Yeah, you just have to do what's best for you and for your family, for your kids, for yourself. Like, you
100%.
can't save somebody who doesn't want to be saved.
100%.
I'm sorry, I'm just brutally honest here.
No, I think we need more of this honesty. And it's a blessing and a curse, to be honest, because some people don't like to hear this.
No,
But
a lot of people don't like to
do not, absolutely not. And when you're addressing that, I was like, it's just drinking. I mean, he doesn't hate me.
Yeah, I always say yes. Okay,
I'm not. Yeah. But a lot of people
physically, but he's hitting you emotionally. Remember, emotional pain is not less than physical.
100%.
And we're not saying that it's a bad person. It's a disease. It's an ugly disease. It's an illness. Substance abuse is an illness. And, if you're not a doctor, you should not try to treat it or cure it. Go get a professional help for yourself first. If you're living with a person who is affected by addiction, go get help for yourself first.
That's what I did.
That's how you can help him or her, maybe, but help yourself first.
Yeah, you can't help others before you help
Unless
yourself.
you're feeling like.
But then once you're helping yourself, you realize where you're at.
Yeah, then the person maybe will take example from you.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
But what we're trying to do? We're trying to save them. We're trying, let me help you. Let me tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Why you telling me what to do? Like, I have a pain. Like, this person is in pain. It's usually a lot of trauma. Like, right. I'm pretty sure that substance abuse comes from trauma. Yeah. And there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of pain that the person is trying to cope with. Mm-hmm. And you telling me you wanted to take away that only
the
one
coping mechanism that it was helping.
What are you going to give me instead? Yeah. You want to take it away? Okay. What are you going to give me? Like, you can't.
Right.
And you should not, because you're a partner. You're not a doctor. You're not a psychotherapist. Even if I'm a psychotherapist, I should not treat my family members. Mm-hmm. Because for them, I am a family member. I'm not a therapist. And anyone can be in their situation with substance abuse in the family. Nobody excluded. If you're doctor, psychotherapist, substance abuse specialist, it doesn't mean that you
immune to it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can be. You can be there. You can be an enabler. Even 100%. If you're a psychotherapist, you can play 100%. Enabler.
100%. It's so true.
Because at home, you're at home. You're not at work. You're not working at home. Exactly. You're a person, a human being.
And we all falter one way or another, sadly. Yeah. Interesting fact that, what do you think, how does early addiction affects the family? Like early addiction, I'm saying, like teenagers.
Oh, okay. That's because I was about to say there's no addiction. It's not early.
No. Like early, I'm saying like kids, kids, the teenagers, when it starts, we talked about the relationship, husband and wife, and then marriage in general, partnerships, anything like that. Work is affected clearly, you lose the job, your performance is affected. In the family, there could go on some abuse. One person or another is going to be affected. But what about when it starts from the early ages and let's say parents are not exposed to it or not knowing to it.
Like you have a kid.
Exactly. That is going through addiction. How does this family affect it?
I would say it affected just like the family affected with any other chronic disease. As you have a sick child at home and it's a very severe illness and everyone get affected, even siblings. Another thing that if there are siblings in a household and one of the kids are addicted and others are not, then all of the attention goes to the sick child.
Right.
And then others suffering.
Kind of fall through.
Yeah, they are suffering. They overcompensating because that's affecting kids too. Parents, of course, under the chronic stress all the time. And then
watching,
we can just
trying to see.
It's a chronic stress nonstop.
Right.
You're gonna suffer. Your kid is sick. It doesn't matter what sickness is that, because addiction is an illness. It's a disease just like any other disease. And if your child is sick, and it's chronic addiction, it's chronic illness, you're gonna be chronically stressed. And then we can just start talking about what harm brings chronic stress. It's not gonna be easy.
This topic is not easy at all.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Ina. I really appreciate it. I think I already have in mind our next episode where we can talk more in depth how to try to get out of it. But for now, I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, dingly thing, and also follow the Ina and me on Instagram. I see you later. Bye-bye.